My life is not a Pinterest board. It's full, messy, crazy human. I got a divorce when I was 29, roamed the world as a nomad, found new love, and got pregnant a year later, had a baby during the COVID lockdown. I've had and still have all the reasons to fail, but I started a coaching business anyway. This first episode of the Wildflower Way is for those of us who don't fit the mold. I'll be reading my own article titled, I Wasn't Good Enough to Start a Coaching Business, but I Did It Anyway, and ending with a poem that celebrates the magic hidden in our own imperfection. In this series, we journey along the untamed path of purpose and freedom. I'm Milena, here to share stories, insight, and poetry that guide you toward a life and business rooted in your soul. So let's take a deep breath. Pour yourself a cup of hibiscus tea and let's wander down the Wildflower Way together. I used to believe that it took a certain types of people to start a successful business. A born confidence achiever, a money smart who wakes up at 5 a.m. every day to visualize her ultimate vision and be in a kind of bliss that can put unicorns to shame. Did I also mention that she's in 440 under 40, has 100,000 followers on Instagram, and apparently an unlimited budget for manicure? I wasn't that type, far from it. So the fact that I've had a profitable coaching business for 6 years and counting still feels to this day like a cosmic joke. And here are the reasons why logically I should not have made it. 1. I became a coach when I was 26 years old. Who the hell would pay for a 26 years old to coach them? I used to think these thoughts so often early on, certain that my age would sink me. But then it turns out plenty would. I one time worked with a client who was even older than my mom. It felt intimidating at first, but after a while I learned that if you can establish yourself in the right niche, that is, if your coaching solves a meaningful problem for a specific group of people, age is not an issue. Do you ask your dentist how old they are? I bet not. Coaching works the same way too. If you can help, you are hired and age just melt into the background. 2. I started without formal coach training. Before I ever called myself a coach, I was already coaching. I read obsessively about yoga, psychology, personal growth, and life coaching. I coached colleagues, led events, and even created my own results by diving deep into my own personal experiments. My first niche was helping women in long-distance relationships. Specific, isn't it? And the thing is that I started enrolling paid clients way before any formal training. I eventually invested in the Wayfinder coaching with Martha Beck, but only after a solid half year of making at least 4 figures a month coaching real paying clients. That's when I learned the difference between being a coach and running a coaching business. And let me tell you, it is the size of a humpback whale. Coach training doesn't automatically help you earn a good living as a coach, but business training does. Number 3, I'm dangerously not motivated by money. I used to think that it was money mindset issues, and then I start learning and trying all the money mindset transformation and money healing technique under the heaven. And why they were helpful in certain way, here's just the truth at the bottom of it. I'm simply not interested in money for money's sake. Most entrepreneurs get fired up by big revenue goal. I forgot mine constantly. But what gets me up in the morning is freedom, is working from anywhere, being in full control of my time, making a difference, sharing my gift, taking care of Mother Earth, buying art supply, and keeping a steady flow of blueberry kombucha. That's what gets me fired up. Number 4, I didn't see myself as a quote-unquote entrepreneur. Please Don't take me to Shark Tank. I want to be in a hot bath with Epsom salt and lavender. I have zero clues and sub zero interest in fundraising. I'm allergic to networking events. I don't know how to quote unquote work a room and quote unquote creating meaningful connection that lead to business opportunity. Or maybe I'm just too lazy too. Hashtag introvert, which relates to the following. 5. I have unstable and limited energy. I am a highly sensitive person, so my nervous system is delicate. I feel everything and it's intense. I get easily overstimulated and I need a lot of downtime. Without a space to just be, I turn into a cornered animal or I just get sick. To thrive, I've had to accept my energy ebb and flow and started treating rest as a cornerstone of my success. 6. I am way too emotional. I cry watching Kung Fu Panda. Yes, I did. And every month, my partner deserves a medal of valor every time when my PMS roll around. For me, running a successful business has been 90% emotional management, and making my emotion my allies instead of my enemy is like cracking open a treasure chest that I've been sitting on my whole life. It's powerful stuff. So now I base my business decisions on how I feel in my body, which turns out to be highly profitable and help me not hate my life. Who knew? 7. I can be all over the place. Aside from coaching, I love writing, dance, watercolor, calligraphy, sketching, theater, poetry, documentary filmmaking, pottery, and probably more. I am a multi-passionate person, and so building a business has been about finding ways to use my various passions while simultaneously allowing my business not to be the expressions of everything I love. Freeing my creativity while simultaneously channeling it to create actual business results like clients and income and long-term impact. Those are the fine lines that I still sometimes trip over. 8. I get a headache when I look at numbers. I've gotten better at reading financial reports, but quarterly reviews still have me reach for the Panadol. 9. Discipline? Not my strong suit. I cannot maintain a meditation streak for more than 4 days. I'm allergic to routine, and I have accepted that I would never join Robin Sharma 5 a.m. club. But here's the strange thing. My love for changes has made me more resilient to the chaos of entrepreneurship. Uncertainty is my dance. 10. I'm super woo-woo. I do stuff that makes legit entrepreneurs' eyebrows raise so high, I fear that they would just fly away. New moon rituals? Check. Sage burning, oracle decks, crystal grids, and chats with the universe? Double check. My money meetings often include me consulting one of my 4 oracle decks to connect with the soul of my business. And guess what? It works. No side effects, except maybe a surge of courage and steady income. So, who is laughing now? 11. I doubt myself and feel afraid all the time. Don't let my video reels fool you. I probably sweated buckets in those shots. I have given 3 TEDx talks. Yes, 3 TEDx talks. And I still think it's a miracle that I didn't vomit on stage. I had to learn to do everything afraid because fear and I are in a perpetual state of coexistence. 12. I don't have everything figured out. My life is not a Pinterest board. It's full, messy, crazy human. I got a divorce when I was 29, roamed the world as a nomad, found new love and got pregnant a year later, had a baby during the COVID lockdown. My baby turned 2 a few weeks ago. This morning, our nanny blew up my schedule because her nanny got sick and couldn't babysit her son, so she couldn't babysit mine. You can't follow? Me neither. Plus, I think my earbuds are in the washing machine. I've had and still have all the reasons to fail, but I started a coaching business anyway. Despite and because of all these weaknesses, I've built a profitable business for 6 years and counting, one that earns six figures per year, gives me all the freedom, and gets me paid to change the world. And here I am, still an emotional, highly sensitive, tree hugging hermit whose brain goes puff in front of a profit and loss statement. So if you're dreaming of making a living as a coach but wonder if you've got what it takes, hear me on this one. Bet on yourself, get the right support, and take action anyway. Soon enough, you'll discover what I've learned after all these years. Your flaws, once embraced, become your magic. I actually remember very vividly when and where I wrote this article. I wrote this article 2 years ago in a cafe near my house in Damansara Perdana in Kuala Lumpur. It was a sunny afternoon. I was on a table with my cup of tea and so many plants all around when I wrote these. At the time of recording this podcast, it has been 8 years of having a coaching business, and yes, it somehow still feels like a cosmic joke that the business has been thriving and keep growing with me after all these years. And when I read this article, I just have this feeling of deep love and pride for my past self. It's not an ego-centered pride, but a soul level pride for my past self, for the courageous things that she did. When was the last time you look back at the things you did and feel this deep soul level pride rising up in your body? My favorite part in this article is probably the part when I wrote, "Please don't take me to Shark Tank. I want to be in an Epsom salt bath with lavender." And that is so true. I do not want my entrepreneurship experience to feel like fighting for survival, to feel like escaping the jaw of sharks. And I'm here to tell you that there is a different way, and I believe that is a better way where business can be joyful and easy, not a hamster wheel to run on, but a unique expression of your soul. And it can be profitable too, and you can earn a sustainable living with this kind of business. So for those of you who are considering starting a business or a coaching business, know that it is not just about starting a new business, but it's about creating a new way of doing business. Because here's the thing, in this space of online business and entrepreneurship, the conditioning is hustling, but we do not have to conform to that conditioning as much as we do not have to conform to a certain mold of how a successful entrepreneur needs to look like. We do not have to conform to a certain stereotypes of how entrepreneurship is supposed to be. And I'm here to report that yes, 8 years and counting, and it is working beautifully. I'm so very grateful for my life and everything that I have been able to experience, having my business as a vehicle for me to live the life I deeply desire. And one last thing I want to comment after reading this episode is that I have learned to be pretty good at number. I believe that 2 years ago, when I wrote that article, I still had many limiting beliefs around my ability to deal with number. And if you are someone who are more sensitive, creative type, you probably do not like how math was taught in school. The way math was taught in school really ruined math for me. But I've come to learn that numbers don't lie in a way that 1 + 1 has to equal to 2. Numbers, once we are able to release all our funny feelings and limiting beliefs around them, can be very simple. I no longer reach for the Panadol during quarterly review. I'm very proud of being able to read my profit and loss statement without my brain going puff anymore. Our weaknesses can be our superpower, and at the same time, our weaknesses can transform and become another kind of superpower, I guess. And now, a little gift for you. It's a poem I wrote titled Anthem for the Imperfect. Anthem for the Imperfect. I never arrived polished. Not the kinds who moved like jaguars, slick and sure in every step I came, stumbling, hence uncertain, a traveler who wore her fears like bracelets, each one clinking as I walked, finding my way by starlight. They called it weakness, this heart of mine, so tender. It bruised beneath its own weight, but in that softness I found still a quiet, unyielding strength, like the stubborn grass that breaks through concrete. I am unfinished, unraveled, raw, an anthem for the imperfect, the ones who push their boats out to sea even when the world says not enough. And maybe that's the beauty, the life woven in the gaps, the cracks where the light sinks through, the path marked by courage, by faith, that the story was never meant to be sure or smooth, but fiercely, imperfectly whole. Thanks for joining me on this very first episode of the Wildflower Way. I'm really so thrilled that you're here with me, and I would be so grateful if you could subscribe to the podcast and leave a review, especially because a review is so golden in the podcast world, and it will really help other wildflower women to find their way here with us. Now, the best way to connect with me would be to join my Wildflower Letter, my newsletter loved by 4,000 readers worldwide. You can go to milenanguyen.com/letter. That is milenanguyen.com/letter. I'll see you in the next episode, and until then, may your heart be wild and your spirit free. Now, go out there and bloom.